You're all probably wondering where I've been the last couple of days. Well, folks, we've been pretty busy behind scenes getting our new website ready. It's literally days away. We were going to launch in the next couple of days, but we've just postponed it a little bit longer. So stay tuned because we'll be announcing the day. And in the meantime, if you've got your reward points and you haven't redeemed them yet on the current website, it's important that you do use them all up, try and use them and take advantage of the great specials before we move over to the new platform, the new website, because it all starts from the beginning again. You'll get login details and the rest, but to redeem your points, it has to be done on this website, meaning we can't transfer them across for many reasons. But anyway, that's one part. The other one is we're in Theberton on the 8th and 9th of this month, so a couple of days to go before we're up there. Get your orders in by Wednesday midnight so you can collect it at the store, or you can just walk in and shop at your leisure at the store itself. 103 Port Road, Theberton. Now we're talking olive trees. Now on the weekend I had the pleasure of going out to Lalal to visit some friends of ours who've got, unbeknown to me, they have 100 olive trees, a grove there growing for the last 4 years. These are about 4 years old, and my apologies, I haven't got a photo of it, but we'll get some photos soon to share with you to show you what I'm talking about. Now, the purpose of this discussion is olive trees need to be pruned just like any other fruit tree. They need to be shaped to some extent. You can allow them to grow free, wild and all that stuff if you like climbing ladders and seeing them grow to the sky, or even getting a little bit too congested. And all those sizes and shapes will be determined by the microclimate and obviously the soil in your garden where you've planted them. Now, their trees in Lalal, sorry guys, fab, they were growing like this. This is it. There was a bunch like that straight up, one garden stake here, and a little bit of rubbing, no open vase shape, none of that. I've given these only probably 2 prunes, maybe 3 in their growing season. This one has already started to put new growth on. Now, the open vase shape is what we're trying to achieve. First thing, if you cannot prune the tree back down to create that open vase because it's grown straight up, maybe you haven't pruned it in time or forgot to prune it or just didn't know how to prune it exactly, irrespective of the reason why, if it's growing straight up and there is no real cutting point, I haven't got a tree to show you like that, but let's pretend this is the upright growth and it's quite rigid and you can't bend it over to open it up. What you've got to do, folks, is not cut this branch back like that or down here because it's so rigid, it's quite thick in the diameter. What you've got to do is work your way all the way down to the trunk. Now, not this one here in particular, but imagine the trunk was up here and the branches were coming up straight like that. Well, you would either, this is the example here, this is your trunk, you would either cut these branches that are growing straight up just above the trunk a couple of inches, 4, 5, 100 mil, maybe 200, or if there are simply too many of them, well, work your way back down to the trunk. This is the trunk, imagine that. The root ball's down here, well, you cut it just there. You might need a bigger secateurs than this low number 5, but that's where you cut it. Now, why would you cut it there, you'd say? Isn't that going to stress the plant out? Isn't it going to cause it to go into shock and not maybe grow or die back? Some trees maybe, but not the olive tree, folks. These things will sucker up from the bottom till the cows come home. You can cut it to the ground almost, and you'll find that root system will take off. Now be careful, because if you have got a grafted variety, and depending on where it's been grafted, careful you don't cut off the graft part on top. So sometimes these trees can be grafted halfway up the trunk when you buy them, and you can't see it here, but on a young tree you may see it with a bit of a dog leg shape on it. Well, anything gets cut, if you cut anything below that point there, chances are you're going to have a rootstock taken off and it's a wild olive tree, which will produce you very little, if any, fruit, and inedible fruit as well. So, open vase shape. Simple rules. Chop and drop for starters if you've got rabbits, because they'll gnaw on the pieces on the floor and not your tree. Second one is dead, diseased or damaged wood. Cut that out completely. So dead wood, obviously, we know what that is. There's no leaves or life in that stem. Diseased, there's a bit of dieback going on. You may have a little bit of a disease entering through the side of the branch. Or damaged wood, which means branches rubbing against each other, or garden stakes will have damage caused on the actual skin or bark. They need to be cut off. Second part to that is open vase shape. This is an open vase shape. This one here's got new growth on it, right? That's what I've noticed on here. Not all of them have taken off. This one here has, that one over there starting to show signs. It's that lighter colour, olive colour, green if you like, that shows you the evidence between the new growth and the old growth. Now this one here hasn't, and this is the open vase shape. Out of all this, we've got a shoot, look, we've got a little shoot down here, be it all sort of tired looking. That may take off, we may get another one coming out, or we simply shape this down like that, and there you are, voila, open vase shape. To get it to this, you have to start from young. And like I said, if it's already out of control and you can't reshape it because it's too rigid, cut it right down. Don't be scared, cut it right down. I've done it, I won't say 1,000, hundreds of times. And anything that's growing in the middle, you cut out. See now this branch here is growing straight up. See that? We've got a nice branch coming out, we're getting out wider. Now, these trees need to grow another 1/2 metre to 1 metre at least in diameter, or radius, sorry. So coming from here, I want it to come out to here. What does that mean when I look back to this branch here? See that branch growing straight up? Now these are going to come out further for me. That's what I want. Eventually this here and these branches here will become thick branches and non-productive branches, more the structural side. So what we're trying to establish here is structural integrity of the plant. So back to this upright, by allowing this to grow all the way out there, this would then end up being a branch that's growing in the wrong direction, growing straight up and eventually growing back into the middle. So we take it off. Scary, huh? Well, not really, because it'll grow right back. Look, there's already a branch coming back. These things are very unforgiving. You prune them hard, they'll come back and fill in the space. So there's not a lot more that I need to cut off out of this. This upright one here, just take that off, take that one here off as well. You know, a couple of here, I can cut them short, but again, I'm not looking to establish a bush in this area here where it's going to flower and fruit. At this size, yeah, it'll be great, but long term, that's not where it's got to be. The fruiting's going to come out here somewhere. So yeah, I'm sacrificing some flowers to establish the shape. So let's go back to this one here that's already growing. So first thing we do, dead disease or damage, nothing here like that at the moment. And then all the central growth, all the upright growth that otherwise will be useless to us, that's got to come out. That's a no-brainer, right? Upright, cut it out. Growing into the middle, cut it out. And that's all we're doing. We're not looking at anything else. It doesn't matter how many you cut off. If they're growing in the wrong spot, they have to come off completely. And just, here's a branch that's pretty much, oh, there you are. Hello. There's a branch that's been stripped. Old little branch, meaning the leaves have fallen off, dehydrating a little bit like that. So we just remove that completely. That's all we do. We've got another upright growth. Look at this. This is another example. Ah, look. Rubbing right here. See that branch there and that branch there? Not happy, Jane. They're rubbing on each other, and obviously the little one's the ones that's struggling the most, so we're going to take that one out from there. And we'll look at that one in a second because that's growing outwards at the moment, but we've got all these little ones in here. So let's just thin it all out. Way too many branches here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all coming out of the central. And this is the main 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you can see that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is a little bit upright. If we've got time to age or shape that down like that, it'll be great. But if we don't, we may end up losing that one and letting this other one down below take off. For now, we'll work back to that in a second. We've still got to thin this out, and we have to take out some of the side branches. For example, come from here and have a look at this, all right? We've got 1, 2, 3 branches there all together. Now, as they come up from every prune I've done, it's multiplied, and it's multiplied, and it's multiplied. So now, if we come back up here, we've got overlapping going on. We've got all this in the way. That's sort of growing upright. This one in between, well, time to go. Way too close to each other. Just imagine when that gets thicker like that and that gets thicker, you've got 2 branches side by side. Useless, no good. Spacing is important here. You need to give some airflow between them all so they can open up beautifully. So they're not too bad there. Now we're working back on the inside again. That's growing in, get rid of it. Still too young a tree for me to have fruit on it because I'm simply shaping it. Now I've taken that branch off because that was annoying me, and this one here's annoying me. And remember folks, at the end of the day, if you cut off too much or the wrong branch, for whatever reason, you just weren't paying attention and you've created a gaping hole on one side of the tree, don't worry too much. These sort of trees, like these olive trees at this age, look how thick the trunk is there, right? Tough as nails. These will bounce back up and they'll fill in the void that you created by accident. So don't stress about that so much. It's all about opening it up. It sounds crazy and it looks pretty daunting because it's still a young tree. But again, when they all become thick like the trunk here, I'll tell you something, gonna be a good looking tree. Not yet, getting there. Open up, open up, open up. Ooh, see, look at this one. Now I'm gonna bring that down here, like that. And when I tie that down, that's gonna bother me. So that's coming off. You gotta be cruel to be kind. It's my wife, no, I won't say that. I love you, darling. You know that. 35 years almost in marriage. And the last part is obviously the tips. Thin out the middle, anything that's growing back in, so that's going to stay there. That doesn't belong there. We take out the middle here. And these long shoots, if you don't cut them back or cut them off completely, well, they're just going to keep growing out there, aren't they? So you can take them off completely or just trim them back, as I'm doing here. Mate, I tell you, with an olive tree, it's not that frightening because they grow back so fast and so strong. And you know, they really do perform well. So they take to a good hard prune, folks. Don't be scared to do that. But if you are, well, get someone who doesn't care. Meaning they'll come and prune it for you without the heart involved. And that way, your tree gets the prune it needs. Like my friends in Lolo haven't pruned it. After 4 years, they've got to go back and retrain all the trees again. This is a little bit stretchy, you can see that. It's grown out a little bit too long. It probably missed one of its prunes earlier on. And as I go around, you're gonna see me constantly reducing it to the point where I'm comfortable with the length of each branch. 30, 40 centimeters, comfortable. Take the top out, that's all I need to do. And you can try and keep an even balance. And all these bottom branches, they're gonna do absolutely nothing. They can't stay here. These can't, literally can't stay, unless I want to start shaping it from back here and get rid of this fork up here that I created and take on one of these and get rid of the black spot. It's a little bit of black spot. You can spray that if you want, but don't have to really on olive trees unless it's quite severe. Take the center out of that, take this one back down, and I'll tell you, half of these branches will probably end up being cut off in the future because there's still way too many, you know. But we'll leave some on because it needs to see a little bit of sunlight, doesn't it? And there you are, folks. If you've got an olive tree, prepare yourself to prune along with all your other fruit trees. If you haven't done your prune yet, don't leave it any longer. Get out there and get stuck into them. Unless your olive tree is already mature and it's producing fruit, well, allow it to ripen properly before you go out there and hack into it. And then give it a feed. Now, a little bit of a controversy about how much fertilizer I put on my trees, the bag stuff. I put one bag of each product that I have, the cocoa, the planting and the compost obviously, and then mulch on top. Now I said about a bag per tree, medium-sized tree, which is fine. It's about 25 bucks worth on a special rate. But if you've got small trees like this, you can go half a bag or a third of the bag. So you can budget yourself. Anything is better than nothing. So you can budget and apply a smaller amount around each tree, about half to a third. If you like, you're still getting about 30 litres or 40 litres of organic matter placed around the base of your fruit trees. It is vital that you do that because it's all about the life in the soil. You don't practice that, you can do whatever you like to the tree or plant above ground, but if the soil's not been treated correctly, looked after and nourished with all the goodness that it needs to stay vital and alive and all the microbial activity that you need, then your trees will always, or plants will always look a little bit tired, maybe struggling. Not always, but some of them, most times than not, will, and a few people may be lucky enough to have good rich soil already to start with. So when it comes to feeding, do as much or as little as you can afford or like. It's not about just copy and pasting whatever I do, but take whatever good information, and not so good sometimes, and make what you can of it to better your garden, because that's what we're doing here, trying to help you improve your garden, and in particular the edible gardens, folks. Because you know the mission here for me is to teach your garden to be like your guts, or teach your guts to be like your garden, garden guts. They work together. The microbe life in the soil is very similar to what's in our guts. So if we haven't got it there, well, then what's in here, folks? Pills. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. Don't forget to redeem your points. We'll be in Theberton and the new stores are coming soon. I can't wait. And the website, From me, Vasily, Maresi.